In this module, we will discuss the voluntary social welfare agencies, that how can we define the voluntary social welfare agency. A voluntary social welfare agency is usually set up by some individuals in their private capacity to render the social welfare services which they may think necessary for meeting the needs of the community, the social needs of the community. And usually it depends on the support and cooperation of the people itself and the community in which these voluntary welfare agencies are established, and it may or may not receive the government grant. A formal definition of voluntary social welfare agency given in the Voluntary Social Welfare Registration and Control Ordinance 1961 is that social welfare agency means an organization, association, or undertaking established by persons of their own free will for the purpose of rendering services in any one or more of the fields which has been mentioned in the Schedule of Registration and Control Ordinance 1961, and mostly depend upon the resources on public subscription, donation, or government aid. What kind of the prominent features of voluntary social welfare agency have? Voluntary social welfare agency are known as the non-governmental organization, NGOs, and they are also known as the non-profit organizations, NPOs. What are the major features of the voluntary welfare agencies? The voluntary social welfare agencies are created by the people themselves at the grassroots level. This is basically the initiative of the people themselves, and simultaneously these agencies should have the legal status according to the Registration and Control Ordinance 1961. These agencies should be registered according to this law and should have the legal status. Then the voluntary social welfare agencies should have the managing committee, and the members of this managing committee normally manage the affairs of this agency, and the members of this managing committee can be elected or can be the nominated members as well. Then this voluntary social welfare agency should have a sense of strong commitment with the goals and the objectives for which this agency has been established and registered and is availing the legal status. Then the voluntary social welfare agency should have the potential to implement, to execute its own programs through its own voluntary and paid workers. Another important feature of voluntary social welfare agency is that it should raise its funds from the community, and its financial support depend upon the support of the community. And another important prerequisite is for the voluntary social welfare agency that it should maintain its accounts and must be accountable to people and the government so far as it receives the grants. On the other side, we see that unlike voluntary agencies, public agencies are sponsored and controlled by the government. Their policy, formation, standards, scope, and coverage of services are controlled through rules enacted by the legislature or framed by the government departments. Their funds come from normally from the public exchequer. A voluntary social welfare agency usually performs the following functions. First of all, it motivates the community people to solve their own problems by their own help. And another function is to organize the community people so they can resolve their issues by themselves, by the community people. Another important function is to provide a platform for the communication channels between the people and the public agencies. The voluntary social welfare agencies promote the innovative or pilot projects or programs within the community for the welfare of the community people. Another important role of and the function of the voluntary social welfare agency is to undertake the programs and the project entrusted by the government, and also to study the needs of the weaker sections of the society. Grant in aid may be defined as the payment of financial assistance by the government to voluntary agencies to defray part of the cost of the services, to bear the cost of the services which the voluntary social welfare agency are rendering within the community. Grants which are given by the government are subject to certain conditions set by the government in respect to the utilization of the grant, in respect to the quality of the services, and the right of the inspection and the directions must be followed by the voluntary social welfare agencies given by the government. And if the conditions are not satisfactory, if the quality of the services is not satisfactory, then right to withhold the payment of the grants in aid by the government. The objectives of the grant in aid is not substitute fund. This is not the substitute fund and is not the fully funding grant given by the government. It is just to supplement private finances and efforts, and it is paid on the basis of matching principles. It is considered as a matching grant, as a matching resource, which is supported by the government. Through this program, the government endeavors basically the following things, like to ensure a minimum standard of the services throughout the country by assisting the already existing agencies and welfare institutions, to assist agencies to strengthen and improve their services by employment of professionally qualified staff, to enhance the human resource within the voluntary social welfare agencies, to encourage major NGOs through financial assistance and technical advice and cooperation to experiment with new services, and to encourage the growth of social work literature, social work research, and awareness about the social welfare services and programs and social welfare institutions in the community. We see that there are a lot of prominent local voluntary social welfare agencies are working in the country, and we see that very prominent voluntary social welfare agencies like ED Foundation, like Shaukat Khanum Hospital, Ansar Bani Trust, Aga Khan Rural Support Program, Aurat Publication and Information Services, Shahid Afridi Foundation, and the other include Rural Development Foundation of Pakistan, Oxfam Pakistan, Pakistan Poverty Alleviation Fund, Kasha Foundation, Legal Aid Women Trust, and Agahi, Akhuwat, and then CPDI, like Center for Peace and Development Initiative. These are the prominent voluntary social welfare agencies which are working on national level in Pakistan. And some others are like ESAS, which is the abbreviation of Education, Health and Social Achievement Services, then Al-Khidmat Foundation, Pakistan, and Minhaj Welfare Foundation. Similarly, we see that there are some international non-governmental organizations are also working. Very prominent international voluntary social welfare agencies like Bilqis Service Foundation is a non-profit organization whose headquarter is based in Dubai, and it was established in 2005 to support the welfare of the society all around the world. One of the top 6 international NGOs in Pakistan is the United Nations Children's Fund was established on 11 December 1946, right after World War II. And this is a project run under United Nations administration, which serves on providing primarily humanitarian services and assistance to the children and their mothers in developing and underdeveloped countries. Unicef Headquarter is based in New York City, Geneva, and its main contribution relies on government and private donors. Another international voluntary social welfare agency is USAID, which is basically a US agency and which is primarily responsible for administering civilian foreign aid. And it was established on 3rd November 1961. Their headquarters is in Washington, D.C., and majorly funded by the public of US, by the people of America. This USAID Voluntary Social Welfare Agency is providing the services with a budget of $27.2 billion per year. At the moment, USAID is serving people for the welfare of the society in 25 countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan, South Africa, Iraq, and many more other. USAID helps all levels of the government of Pakistan to address the citizen priorities and the welfare of the society, and mostly enable government departments, government institutions to fulfill their roles and responsibilities in the transparent and accountable manner, and to work for the betterment, for the progress, for the prosperity of the community, of the people of the Pakistani society. Similarly, another important and very significant international voluntary social welfare agency is SOS, Children Village, which was established in 1949 at Vienna, Austria, by Hermann, who is a philanthropist and run many projects for the welfare of children under this organization. On 3rd September 1992, another important social worker, Fred Hollows, who was an eye surgeon, started working on the welfare of people in providing treatment for vision problems and preventing from blindness under the Fred Hollows Foundation. This non-profit organization initially started working from Sydney, Australia, and with the ongoing operations, the organization expanded its services in many other countries, almost 25 countries like Afghanistan, Nepal, China, Pakistan, and many other countries. Plan International, one of the top 6 international NGOs in Pakistan, which is a non-profit organization and which was founded in 1937 by John Davies. And this an independent development and humanitarian organization which works in almost 71 countries across the world, which include Africa, America, Asia, and it works to advance the children's rights, and it works for the rights of the girls. Few other prominent international NGOs working in Pakistan are like Oxfam, like WWFP, World Wild Foundation, then Islamic Relief, Church World Service, and so these are the international agencies which are working in Pakistan, and their network has been extended to various countries throughout the world.